Don't mean to alarm you, but sometimes bad things can happen, such as getting a flat on a bike ride. And it's really worthwhile being able to do this simple maintenance task. It will make you much more self-sufficient. Pair of tyre levers, a new inner tube, and of course, a pump. Start off by releasing the brakes and removing the wheel from the bicycle. We're going to let any remaining air out of the tyre. This tyre is completely flat, but if you have a little bit of air left in there, there's a good chance that whatever's caused the flat is still embedded in your tyre. So we're going to want to have to find that before we put the new tube in. The tyre lever is designed to remove the bead part of the tyre from the hooked portion of the rim. Take one tyre lever and take the scooped end and place it underneath the bead of the tyre and hook the hooked end onto one of the spokes. Move along to the next spoke and get your second tyre lever and do the same again. Keep doing this until the tyre becomes loose enough to remove entirely. Pull the valve out and remove the old tube. Now we can inspect the tyre. Gently run your fingers around the inside of the tyre and inspect the outside of the tyre at the same time. You're looking for any glass, debris, small metal staples, anything that might have caused that puncture, as well as any holes in the tyre. Take your new tube and you're going to notice that whilst it's like this, it looks like it's a little bit too big. Put a little bit of air into the tube, just enough that it takes shape and becomes a little bit springy. Locate the valve hole and insert the tube through the rim. Now this bit's pretty important. You want to stuff the tube thoroughly into the rim all the way around. Make sure that you push the tube all the way into the rim cavity. You can see here that the tube is well inside the rim, but up here it's still sticking out. If I try and reseat the tyre at this point, I risk pinching the tube, and then we only like fixing things once here, so we'll just be back to square one. Now we're going to reseat this portion of the tyre onto the rim. Make sure you start at the valve and work around to the opposite point on the rim. So this is where most people start to get stuck. This last portion of the tyre can be quite difficult to push on, and you really want to put it on by hand only if at all possible. If you start to lose tyre levers, you risk pinching the tube, and again, you're going to have a new flat and you're just going to have to start all over again. A good technique is to use the flat portion of your palm here to push the tyre over the rim. Just going to sort of roll it over the top. There we go. Then we're just going to massage the tyre all the way around to make sure that the tube is fully seated inside. There we go, that looks pretty good. Now before you start going crazy with the pump, it's worthwhile just putting about 10 psi in the tyre to make sure that the tube is fully seated inside there and we're not risking blowing the tube out of the rim. A good test for this is just to give the wheel a little bit of a spin and check and see if the tyre is jumping up and down or moving side to side. It should look pretty smooth. Looks like we've done a good job here. Finally, you can fully inflate the tyre. The recommended pressure will generally be written on the side wall of the tyre. Can be a little bit hard to find, but this says minimum 100 psi, so I'm going to go to the minimum on this tyre. Refit the wheel back into the frame, making sure it's level and square in the brake pads. Make sure you close the brake quick release and then check that the brakes and gears are working properly before you set off. If you have knocked your brakes from side to side, which can happen sometimes, why not check out our video on aligning your brakes correctly? And that's it. Enjoy the rest of your ride.